Do you like games? Do you like Thrones? Do you like tits and dragons? Then you should watch Game of Thrones. But in the meantime, get caught up on this very special episode of Multiverse. Yeah. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the fantastic second episode of the Multiverse. Or no, Multiverse. We're so new, I don't even know what we're called. Cray. I'm your host, Paul, joined with Angela.
Hello.
And Chandler.
Hello.
Yes, this is a very special episode because it's the second episode, and it's the second episode with my two favorite people.
Aww.
And I'm very excited to dive into the Game of the Thrones, which the kids are all really excited about because there's a new season coming out this Sunday.
Oh my god, it's the final season! I'm very excited.
I'm raising the roof, guys.
Yeah, so I'm definitely taking the lead this episode. I think it's the first episode that I'm going to be taking the lead on.
Yeah, Angela's very, very
By a
passionate.
woman?
Not today,
Get
Satan.
off my podcast.
By the old gods and the new, I will not allow this to take place.
I feel like I am the Game of Thrones fanatic of the group, so
Yeah.
I think it's only appropriate.
Because back on Wednesday, Chandler and I and Jay, we were trying to do like Game of Thrones theories as well as Endgame theories, and it was very. I had fun. I wouldn't say it was organized.
Well, I remember
but it was fun.
I was like trying to sleep, and I could hear you guys, and it was keeping me from sleeping because I kept like wanting to correct things.
I think we were pretty bad. Like, weren't we?
You're
Like,
wrong.
Yeah, I think Jon Snow and Darth Vader are gonna have a fight in the last episode. You know, they're gonna fight for the ring in Mordor.
There's some chick named Dan.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's like a gay thing. But then Captain Picard's gonna show up in the Millennium Falcon, and they're gonna save Hogwarts.
Yeah. So, I mean, we have, so it's been a journey.
It's been one way if you look at it.
It's definitely been a journey. I mean, I didn't actually start reading the books until I want to say the end of season 4. And it was just because I needed content. I needed Game of Thrones content. And, yeah, so, I deep dived into the fandom, and here we are.
I never thought this day would come. We would get the final season.
Oh
I
my
can't.
God.
We have to wait a year without Game of Thrones.
We wait a year, but then there are people, because you said earlier, you know, the first book was written in.
Well, it was published in 1996, so we were 11 years old.
So
I was 6.
So our wait.
You were 6. Wow, Chandler wasn't even a twinkle in his daddy's eye. Oh, you were 6. I'm sorry.
Yes.
But yeah, so, I mean, so there are people who waited considerably longer than we have, but, you know, whatever. I'm not gatekeeping this. It's Game of Thrones, it's for everybody. But,
Aww.
I do want to ask you guys, how, did you initially get into the show?
I was in school at the time, so like a lot of my friends were like watching it, and I just kind of like sat on the couch with them and watched it with them.
You know, I was just thinking, if we're going to put a pause on this for a second, did you just want to straight up do the intro?
No.
Oh, all right. And we'll continue. Sorry.
So how did you?
Well, it was a lot of peer pressure. I was at a party at an alley. We were playing Spin the Bottle.
Wow.
And, yeah, it was, I spun the bottle, and it directed at Game of Thrones. No,
Now kiss.
I had a high school teacher, actually, who was huge into Game of Thrones. I remember he was always talking about, you gotta read this book, and I didn't because, you know, which is strange because I was like, no, I want to read the boring books you're telling me to read, not like cool stuff. But I remember then hearing that like, oh, the show's coming out, and of course, like most people, I didn't watch it. And at the time when it came out on DVD, which is for you youngsters, those were the little silver what's the word I'm looking for? Coaster looking things you would slide into your PlayStation. And I was working at Best Buy, and they were playing the advertisement like, now on DVD and Blu-ray, the first season of Game of Thrones. And I like heard this over and over and over, and I think I was just like, I was conditioned, I was brainwashed. And yeah, and I had my discount, and I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna take this home. And I watched it, and I did not understand what the fuss was about. I hated the first episode. It's like, there's too many people, and a kid fell out a window. And then, I don't know, but I think, I do remember the moment, though, where I was like, okay, I'm in. And that was when,
Nice.
that was the best part. That was my Tyrion impression. No, but it was the episode where Catelyn arrests Tyrion in the pub, and when she kind of like, she pulls the, like, I have more friends than you, who's loyal to me.
That was the moment that sealed me for the show as well, actually. Definitely. I'd been told about it from a friend of mine, Megan O'Keefe, who is actually in your neighborhood. She's living in New York. Yeah, and she was shopping at the store, and she had given me a copy of the first book, and, people give me books all the time, and I was just like, yeah, I'll get to it, and I never do, and I never did. And, but she kept telling me, oh my God, you gotta, like, read this, it's so good, they're making a show, and I was like, okay, yeah, and it just kind of went in the back of my mind, and then she showed me the Entertainment Weekly she's article that they're doing it, and the kids are the best, and and I was like, what are you talking about? And so I knew of it, and it had already started to air, and my boyfriend at the time was like just one of those kind of shitty people that kind of just downloads everything so they don't have to pay for anything. And so he had all the episodes, but he hadn't watched them, he just like downloaded it. And so I was home, and I was bored, and I was like, okay, I'm going to look into this. And I watched the first episode, and I was like, okay, I'll just watch the second episode, we're here. And I watched the third episode, we're here. And that moment when, Kat's in the pub, and she's trying not to be noticed, because she wasn't supposed to be traveling from, like, King's Landing back. She wasn't supposed to have left Winterfell. And then Tyrion calls her out, like, being a smartass, kind of calls her out, like, to make a scene. And then she stands up and does something that I had never seen done in, like, a period piece or of any kind before, where a woman kind of owns her predicament. And, like, in the Middle Ages, or in period pieces in general, like, back in time, women just have always been just these second-class citizens. They can't go anywhere without being accompanied by a man. They are basically their father's property until they're sold off to be their husband's property. And, whenever you do see these characters, they're always kind of either railing against the system, or they're just, like, sad about it. And Catelyn owned it. She owned her place in the society, and her role as a Tuttley marrying into the Stark household and being the mother of the Stark children, and she owned it. And in that moment, she stood up and just started calling out bannermen, and just like, oh, you served my father, and you did this, and you did that, and stuff like that. And she's calling, and as she's doing it, Tyrion's realizing, like, holy shit, like, she's shit. Like, she has all the power in this situation.
She's connected.
Yeah.
She's connected. She has all the power in this situation. And because of her position, and which, women don't have any power in any position, but in this, she knew the system and she understood it, and she used that to her advantage, and I'd never seen anything like that in anything before. So that was my moment of just like, oh, this is awesome. Oh, I'm in. Let's take me wherever you want, I'm down. So that was definitely a power moment for me. But I definitely now would like to talk about my top 5 episodes. And I say my top 5 episodes, and I didn't really ask anybody else to see what their top 5 episodes were. Bia Kuez. These are the best episodes. Because these are the best episodes, but I definitely would like to get your guys' thoughts on my listing and see if you guys agree, disagree. So I'm going to go from 5 to 1 being the best, 5 being still awesome because they're my top 5.
Right.
So 5, I'm going to go with Blackwater.
Okay. Now remind us what happened in these episodes.
I will.
Because I'm one of those people where, I'll like a song but don't know what it's called.
Yeah. So, spoiler alert, I'm going to talk about a lot of episodes throughout the series, because we are now facing season 8, the final season.
Right, yeah.
So,
and if you haven't watched it by now...
what the fuck are you doing listening to us?
If you haven't watched it by now...
Yeah, get out. So, Blackwater was season 2, and it was episode... What was the oh shit episodes? Were those episode 8 or 9?
Now, when you say, are you, oh shit episodes, is that, when Ned Stark gets beheaded?
Yeah, the oh shit episodes, is usually it's the second to last episode of every season is the oh shit episode, and we're like, oh shit, because something crazy goes down.
So basically, Blackwater, then, if I'm remembering this correctly, is this, basically the Helm's Deep on water?
Yes.
With the green fire?
This is the oh shit episode of season 2.
That actually was the best part of season 2, because season 2 is tough to get through.
Season 2 was, I think, my least favorite season. But it's funny though, because it's my favorite book. And it's weird, and and I think a lot of it has to do with how I feel like they dropped the ball a little bit on Stannis, and his character, and his build up to understanding who he is and who this character is. Because in the books, Stannis Baratheon is the brother of Robert Baratheon, who was the king, who kind of fucked everything up after the War of the Five Kings. And Stannis, pretty much, so as soon as Jon Arryn dies in season 1, episode 1, which kind of
he kind of
set everything off. He was the hand of the king, and he dies, and
he's basically like the Mr. Body of Clue. He's the one that gets the game started.
He gets the whole game started. So as soon as Jon Arryn dies, and Lysa, who is Jon Arryn's wife, sends a message to her sister, Catelyn Stark, to say, the Lannisters killed my husband, Stannis bounces. Stannis was on the council. He was hanging out with everybody in King's Landing, doing his part, and he fucking jets, and he goes to Dragonstone. And throughout season 1, they talk about Stannis. We only meet the gay little brother to
Renly.
Robert Brent Renly. Yeah, we only meet the gay one, and he's fun. But I loved Renly. Everybody loved Renly. But you only hear about Stannis. You don't really get to see him until season 2. And so I felt like they kind of dropped the ball on him, because Stannis is a complex character, but one of the things that I like the most about him is the fact that he is so straightforward, and his sense of right and wrong is so black and white, and there is no gray area. And I think that is a recipe for disaster, and as far as characters go, I think that's pretty fun.
I always thought he was annoying.
Yeah?
Oh, God. Every time I saw Stannis, I was just like, ugh, wah, wah. He was just I mean, he's a great character. I mean, you can be annoyed by a great character, but I just thought, I don't know. But I have, really only probably seen these shows, once. I think in the first 2 seasons, maybe twice, but that's been it. Everything's been just the one time. But I just remember him just kind of, I don't know, when I see him, I think of the word fart. He just farts.
Some people see him in story too, actually.
He just kind of farts around.
That's kind of what he is. I mean,
He's a little fart.
He is the ultimate middle child. I mean, and, but Stannis, I mean, it sucks because you feel for Stannis because I feel like in a lot of ways he's a lot like Tyrion Lannister, the dad, in the sense that, he has done all of this work. He is smart. He is capable. He has done everything he was supposed to do and then some, and he's surrounded by fucking idiots. So he's mad about it. And that's kind of how Tyrion is, or not Tyrion, I'm sorry, Tywin. Tywin Lannister is like that, because he's like, he has built his house from the ashes to make it what it is. And he has these fucking kids that are just doing everything they can to fuck it up.
I love Tywin. I don't know why. I feel like I shouldn't, but I do.
I love Tywin. Well, and that's kind of... And so I felt that connection, I feel like, with Stannis. Because Stannis, I mean, during the War of the Five Kings, I mean, he did everything like he could to, like, I mean, and I mean, oh my God, like, they talk about and they reference a siege, and this is how we meet the Onion Knight, what's his face?
Oh, Iron Fist?
No, the Onion Knight.
Ron Swanson?
Not Ron Swanson. Who got his fingers cut off.
Oh shit, I love him too.
Yeah, I know, and it's just
Sir Joff Mickelstein.
Look this up.
Sir Joff Mickelstein.
Yeah,
okay.
Because I like him too,
I totally forgot his name too.
He's the ultimate hype man.
He is the ultimate hype man.
He walks into any room.
Davos Seaworth.
Davos Seaworth.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear about the siege and how Davos like snuck in and basically with onions and food because they were starving to death. So Stannis was basically held up just starving to death, but he held Dragonstone. He held it, and they were under siege by the Tyrells, who have all this food and power and Stannis on his own by himself while his fucking brother was running amok, getting drunk and and killing Targaryens. But he did it, and then all he got in the end was just kind of like you get a seat at the High Council and stuff, and it's like, okay. And so when Robert died, he technically should have been next in line, because Joffrey and the others were not Robert's kids, but he knew, and so he's been kind of like MIA in season 1, so we only hear about him. But Battle of Blackwater was the episode where I feel like we really got to see what Stannis is all about and how ferocious and kind of awesome he really is. Basically take Tywin Lannister without the funding. Like, that's kind of the I mean, people might disagree, but that's how I always felt about Stannis. So, and it definitely helps if you read the second book, because you get a better feel for him.
Well, that episode is the season that got me to like Tyrion more. That episode.
Well, and I mean, yeah, the whole thing. I mean, with Tyrion, like, pretty much saving King's Landing, being responsible for that, the wildfire. Holy shit, we hadn't seen anything like that in the show up until that point. It was crazy. It was fucking crazy.
Yeah. I just liked seeing him surrounded by all these big burly dudes, and he's got his little armor on, and and Joffrey is like, I mean, like, he's because they want to see your leader on the battlefield.
Well, and this is where I feel like Sandor Clegane really got his...
Oh, yeah.
The Hound. When the Hound was just like, fuck the king, and bounced. Like, I mean, you're like, oh, okay. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, no, seriously, fuck Joffrey.
Yeah, like, that was awesome. So that was my number 5. Number 4, and this was a tight one because I was questioning this in my number 3 slot, but I went with number 4 for the Reigns of Castamere. Now, this is the oh shit episode of season 3, The Red Wedding.
Nice day for a red wedding. Sung by Forrest Gump, apparently.
Yeah. So, how did The Red Wedding fuck you up? I ask the group.
I was just sort of like, I don't know. I don't think it hit me the way that I think it was supposed to, because I think at that point in the show, I was like, of course everyone's dead. Like, of course the people you're rooting for are dying. Because that's what this show does to you. Like, I feel like every time watching an episode of Game of Thrones was like my hope going into that feast, and then Game of Thrones locking the doors and stabbing my hope. You know, so I sort of was like, oh. I mean, it was just like, I mean, it was like daunting and surreal, but I don't think it like, it didn't shock me because I'm like, oh, of course you're pulling this shit.
What about you, Chandler? What was your red wedding moment?
I thought it was very, shocking. I think a lot of it was kind of like diluted because there was a lot of like hype online about it. So like that kind of like
everybody
kind
knew
of
it was
raised my
coming.
expectations for it. And like when I kind of saw it, it was kind of like not as like a big a deal as people made it out to be. But it was still very like harsh to watch. Yeah, and it kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, not out of nowhere, but like just like how like quick and sudden the violence was, and there was just no like lead up, dark music, and nothing. Just like boop.
That's why I was so sort of happy when the show went past the books, because I just couldn't have these snobs who are like, I read the book and I know it's happening.
They hate. It's
like
guys.
You have no power now. Where is your god now?
Yeah, it was, I don't know. I was definitely crawling around on the floor screaming like I was there.
Oh, no.
I was just, no, like just, oh my God. I felt like every death, I was just like, oh my God, I couldn't. And I think Catelyn's was the hardest for me.
Oh,
Next
her
to
yell, she's like, no.
Well, no, her and Greywind were the hardest deaths for me.
Who was Greywind?
Oh. The dog, the wolf.
Fuck, I don't like when the wolves die. I feel like, fuck the humans, but I mean, come on now. Like, I was so sad when Lady died.
Yeah, so unfair.
Yeah.
That's some bullshit.
But I hated Sansa at that point, so I was just like, fuck you and your wolf. I was so mad. I hated Sansa. So my number 3 best episode would be Baelor, and that is season 1, and that is the episode where Ned gets dead.
Why is that in your top 5?
Because that episode, really though, the whole Catelyn, like, calling out Tyrion in the pub was, like, what got me hooked. But that episode, I feel like, changed the scope of, like, writing in television.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it definitely
it was like the shot heard around the world, kind of.
It really is.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely set the tone of, like, wow, nobody is safe. Because, you think Ned Stark is gonna make it. I mean, the only thing that would hint that he wouldn't is Sean Bean. But I was really bummed when he died, because, I don't know, you just think that something's gonna happen, that maybe the guy, the executioner, is really, I don't know, from House Stark, and you're gonna start some shit, and
Well, and that was the thing, because that's the one thing that people can rely on going into anything, is that the main character is gonna live, because you need him to tell the story,
right?
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't realize that he wasn't the main character.
See, and that's why I was so angry the episode when, and stop me if this is on your list, but when the episode where Dickon dies, where the dragons come in, and you see Jaime charging at the dragon, full speed with a spear, then out of the blue, fucking Superman comes in, knocks him off the horse into a lake, and I'm like, it just seemed like, how is it that, like, how is he able to dodge a bullet but everyone else couldn't? Because it always kind of seemed like the show set the tone for no one's safe, like, there's no easy way out, nobody can get away.
Armor.
And then, Jaime is fucking charging at a dragon. And I'm thinking, oh my god, is Jaime gonna die? Like, but no, he lived. And I'm happy he lived, but I sort of feel like it kind of betrayed the tone that was established in previous seasons.
No, that I agree.
And everyone's just like, I remember, going on Facebook.
And I don't have a book to reference to be like, well, actually, no, I don't have that.
I don't know. When I talked about it, people were like, get laid, nerd.
So it's like, no, it's just, it makes sense. I mean, yeah, I think once the show eclipsed the books, there's definitely a shift in the style of the episodes and the way and the way the story has been told. I mean, it's very noticeable.
But the pacing is better, though, I think.
I do enjoy the pacing.
I feel like it just drags. And again, this is coming from someone who loves the show, because I do love Game of Thrones. But I think once they got past the books, I just thought the pacing was just like,
But to be fair, I feel like the earlier stuff was more just like chess piece moving, and now we're kind of like ramping up because like things are kind of falling into place now.
Yeah.
We're in the end game now.
Oh.
See what you did there. That'd be crazy if Doctor Strange showed up. Like, that'd be funny if when Doctor Strange is looking in the future and he's seeing all the different versions, one of them is Game of Thrones. Like, that's how the show ends.
Well, but there was also so much that happened within these episodes too that make it. With Baelor, this episode, I mean, you're hoping and scrapping for any information you can
that was really brutal.
To help him. Like, he's got to get out of this. How are they going to do it? He's got to get out of this. But then he goes up there and he like kind of shames himself in his house in front of everybody and like says that he was like a traitor and he did all these things that he didn't do. And you're thinking, oh, well, I guess, this is shitty. Well, I guess he can go to the Wall and be with Jon. And then fucking Joffrey just like is like, nope, you're dead. And it's like, what? And you see, like, Cersei had no control. Nobody had control over it. And it's just like, oh, this is happening. And with Arya being there, seeing it, you're just like, oh my God. Like, it was so visceral. And so, yeah, I think that's why it's in my top 5, because it was such like just a visceral episode. And it yeah.
I kind of viewed it as like, that was, the Seven Kingdoms version of like a Kennedy assassination.
Yeah.
You know?
Pretty much.
Just that, like, I mean, with the exception of, because I think, Ned Stark was so respected up until that point, and the death being so public, and the fact that the death is just constantly referenced, that, it seemed like that it would be like a very important political turning point.
Yeah. No, it was wild. It was definitely wild. And I think going back and I love this show too, because it's so great to go back and rewatch these episodes. Because it's like an onion, you're just getting levels and levels and levels, and there are things that you don't, when you first started watching it, we didn't fucking know. We were just like, oh, okay, who's that? I don't know. You're just like in it, like whatever. But when you go back and certain things and you learn certain things, and you're just like, oh my God, and you're seeing it, it's definitely a different experience. And so I think the rewatchability of this show is phenomenal.
Oh yeah, it's like
I've rewatched it like I think I've watched it all at least 5 times, at least.
Yeah.
Certain episodes more than others because they're preferable to me.
I will probably rewatch the show when it's done.
Yeah.
And then just like
go all the way through.
Yeah.
Unless they fuck up the final season and we hate them, but I don't see that happening.
Well, I told you about. Well, I'm sorry. I want to get through your list.
Sorry. Episode. So number 2. And this is an easy one. Hardhome.
Oh, I fucking love Hardhome.
Fucking Hardhome. Hardhome. Oh man, it's funny because when I got my parents to watch the show, and I'm still getting my sister, one of my sisters, to go through the show, and the entire time they're just like, well, what's, this is crazy, da da da, and I'm like, oh, just wait for Hardhome. Just let me know when you get to Hardhome. Just let me know. And I know my sister just got through Hardhome, and she was just like, ugh, like, yeah, that episode. I mean, because the whole time everybody's okay, what's up with the whole dead people walking around? When's that going to show up again? And then Hardhome does it with a vengeance. You're just like, oh, nothing, none of this matters.
Yeah.
None of this matters. Actually, oh my God.
So around that time, I was starting to lose faith in the show. I think because we had just gone through everything with like Sansa and
yeah, because I think the timing was perfect though, because especially after Sansa, because
I was and when we say Sansa marrying
Ramsay,
the
rape of Sansa is pretty much what it is.
So around that point, I was like, I'm checking out. Fuck this. Because one of my biggest gripes was, the show, the first episode of the first season, it introduces White Walkers and then very rarely goes back to it. So I sort of felt like Hardhome was rewarding sticking with it.
Yeah.
Because it just sort of felt like...
Well, that whole season was so visceral. Because you got Shireen, and then, of course, the rape of Sansa. Like, that whole season just was hard. That was a hard one. Yeah, it just kind of punched you in the face.
Yeah, that's a show that keeps on taking.
It really did. And, I mean, not much was happening because this is at this point, Daenerys was in Meereen, and, yeah, it was just kind of dragging. It was just kind of like, they were just kind of hitting this wall, and then when Hardhome happened, you're just like, oh my god. Like, in that whole sequence. I remember when we watched it, we just let it play again and just watched
because
it
our friends
after.
Aaron and Matt were over because we were back when we were hosting Game of Thrones nights, and we were just sort of like, that. I know, and we were like all awestruck, and we were talking about it, and then I think after that was like some sort of like half-hour thing, and then the encore played, and we all just shut the fuck up and like watched it again because we just couldn't.
We couldn't believe what we had just seen.
Like, who cares what time it is on a Sunday night?
Yeah,
like we have to see this again.
We have to. I mean, it was crazy. It was crazy. Oh my god! But I remember when Jon is in the burning shack, and they were trying to get that dragon glass. And the White comes in and he walks through the fire, and you're like, oh, okay, so they can't. Okay, so they can walk through fire. Cool. It just cooled the fire just by being in the presence of it. And they have that whole fight scene, and we're just like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. And when he takes Longclaw and blocks that shot, because we see their weapons shatter swords left and right, and it blocks it, we were just like, and when he sliced through it and the whole fucking White just shattered into glass, I remember we cheered. We were just like, oh my god, like it was amazing. I mean, but that end sequence though of the Night King standing on the dock and just like raising his arms, it was just like,
it's hard not to
no.
Yeah, it's hard to see that and not think of that meme, where it's like, I'm not your buddy, guy. I'm not your guy, bro.
I'm not your guy, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, but oh my god, that whole sequence, and this is the first time we got to see One the giant, when he just fucking didn't even try, he just waded out into the water with White Walkers crawling all over him and just walked out to the boats. It was crazy.
I can't believe Derek didn't like that episode.
What?
Yeah, remember that when he was like, and it was funny because we were,
oh, that's right,
because we were getting coffee with your parents, and he just, well, so it was unrealistic, and your mom was like, there's wizards and dragons, but the ice zombies is the deal breaker.
Good point.
Yeah, my mom.
I was like, yeah, why is that the thing that's just broke your disbelief?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Hardhome, and the way it was shot, all of it, the scale. God, the scale of it, and then trying to when they close the gates and you see people running away from the cloud, and then it's silence. It's just oh my god, it's just it's the best horror sequence ever. I loved that. Yeah. So of course my number one episode, Battle of the Bastards.
Yep.
Woo! Zigzag, Rick and Zigzag.
Oh, I know. That was a good episode. I just
talking about scale. I mean, I mean, I didn't think they could up Hardhome because Hardhome was so insane, but that whole fight sequence was out of control.
The mosh pit.
Oh god, him suffocating under just bodies. Yeah. I was just like, oh my god, it was wild.
That was an intense episode, and that felt good to see kind of Ramsay get his. I felt more satisfied with Ramsay going to Joffrey.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because Joffrey, I was kind of disappointed with his death. I mean, I'm
Joffrey,
sure.
I had a finally.
I know. I remember
right in front of my face. I was so I was really down.
Yeah, I just wanted more. I wanted, like, him getting attacked by a boar and then dragged through this.
But I think that's I think that's like the beauty of it, though. It's kind of like he was such a piece of shit, and he got such like a small death.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I always imagine with a Zoolander. I got the black lung pup.
So for my list, you say yay, nay?
Yeah, I would.
Double yay.
Yeah, yeah. There's really not a lot to debate with that. Yeah, those are definitely.
It's a fair list.
Yeah.
So, let's talk people.
Peeps.
Let's talk characters. Now, we can always talk about the main three that everybody loves, Tyrion, Jon, and Daenerys. But I would love to focus more on the backup dancers, because they got the moves. The Michelles have the fucking moves, okay? I'm going to be real.
You know what's weird? I always kind of like Peter Baelish.
Yeah?
Yeah, because he's just so... I don't know. I like that... You knew he was up to something, but you never was too sure, like, what was going on. You know, it's like, I know I'm not supposed to like him, and I... You know,
so... We know that we get the reveal, and it's a very offhand reveal, that Peter Baelish was responsible for the death of Jon Arryn, which set everything into motion.
I know, it's like, Jesus.
Did you also know... Did you know that there is a popular theory that Peter actually...
rigged the election and Trump won?
I would believe that, but but no, the whole war of when fucking Rhaegar ran off with Lyanna.
What? That he started that shit?
Yeah, so basically Rhaegar and Lyanna were actually just taking some time together, just to, get to know each other. You know, they got the hots for each other, but they did it like in secret and in quiet. And Lyanna had a history of just kind of disappearing for weeks on end, but because she was like a wild child, she was definitely more of an Arya. Arya was is supposedly like the most like Lyanna Stark. So Lyanna and Rhaegar, and they had people with them, they're like trusted people, but they were going off just to kind of like doing getting to know you, getting to know all about you. Yeah. So. And I guess when it was, somebody told Ned's older brother, who Catelyn was supposed to have married before he died, but somebody told him that Rhaegar kidnapped Lyanna. And so he went to King's Landing to be like, hey... To the Mad King, to be like, hey man, what the fuck am I hearing about your kid doing this? And meanwhile, Lyanna and Rhaegar probably had no idea this shit was going down.
Right.
Because they were off, like, just getting to know you. They were kind of cut off, and yeah, so him and the dad go down to King's Landing, and like, hey, what the fuck? But the Mad King's fucking crazy, so he's like, I'm gonna kill you! And... That's what, but we're thinking, who would have known, who could have possibly known, and who would have known enough to make up some shit like that.
Right, and also...
Because nobody knew that she had left. Right. Nobody knew.
And also Peter Baelish would have had something, I guess, a lot to gain from doing that, because it wasn't the...
Chaos is a ladder, that was what he said.
Right, but also... But he also loved...
Catelyn.
And wasn't... Ned's older brother, the dude that kind of gave him that scar on his chest?
Yep. Was it Brandon? Brandon Stark, I think? Yeah, so Catelyn was supposed to marry Brandon, and because Brandon died, then she ended up marrying Ned, because the Tullys had to have that tie with the Starks. But, yeah. And obviously, Brandon, they got in that duel. And so So the theory is that Peter Baelish actually started all of it.
So
he was responsible for everything.
So they should get the Infinity Stones, go back in time, and fucking kill Peter Baelish.
Yeah.
And then everyone could just team up and fight the White Walkers, if that would be that.
So, I don't know. I think I like Baelish as a character, but I fucking hate that guy.
And we also gotta give credit to the actor, too. Because the actor, he just nailed it. I mean,
so slimy.
I know. Hopefully, it's not like that in real life, but I mean, he killed it.
I do feel bad for these actors, because I will forever attribute them to these characters. Like, I don't know their names. I don't know their fucking names, but I know Peter Baelish. I know Renly Baratheon.
But, like, when
I'm
you...
like, oh, Renly, okay.
Well...
That's Daenerys Targaryen. Yeah, she's in this movie.
Jack Gleason, who plays Joffrey, he has a scene with Batman in Batman Begins. Like, he's that little kid on the fire escape. He's like, nobody will believe me. And, like...
I'm like, yeah, because you're Joffrey.
And he fucking hands him, like, a fucking, like, a grappling hook thing.
Yeah.
I remember, like, not watching the show yet and, like, rewatching Batman Begins and be like, oh my god, it's Joffrey. Oh my god.
Yeah, these characters, like, I'm sorry, Kit Harington, but you are Jon Snow. Like, it's like, oh, he's, I see any of these actors, and I'm just like, oh my god, look. Yeah, so, but who are some of your faves? Apart from Baelish. Share a circle, guys.
Well, I did like Shay. No, not Shay. Who was the other one? The redhead who got shot with arrows by Joffrey?
Roz.
Roz. I liked Roz. She had great boobs.
She did have great boobs.
And of course, Melisandre.
Speaking of great boobs.
Yeah, love her. Who else? Oh, you know who I love, too, is Dany's translator.
Missandei.
Yeah, Natalie Emmanuel.
Missandei.
Love her. Yeah, and I'm not basing this on writing at all. Just like just little side characters I have like crushes on. Yeah.
How about you, Chandler? Who are some of your favorites?
I will kind of go out on a limb and say I did like Sansa's development. I really hated her in the beginning, but it's kind of like her kind of like learning on her own. Like, okay, everyone, I can't trust anyone. I kind of have to like be more self-sufficient and kind of like learn to play the game if I want to win. And like that was like really like nice to see because
she's kind of like she's taking elements from who she's learning from. So she's taking a little bit of Cersei. She's taking a little bit of Baelish. She's taking she's adapting. Right,
and I like that because like first she was kind of like a whiny character who just kind of made her own bed, but she's kind of like digging herself out of it.
I want princes and princesses and courtships.
Right,
and unicorns.
And you can't really blame her. She's a teenage girl. She's like she's in like her head. She's in her like fantasy world. So it's like she's relatable in that sense. Like I understand, but like it's kind of like cool to see someone like I guess innocent kind of like be molded by their circumstances in the world. I also really I guess unless I like Marjorie a lot, Marjorie Tyrell. Yeah, just like
she's my girl.
She's very ambitious, but you can't tell that she's ambitious, and that's kind of like really kind of like
it's dangerous.
Slick. Yeah. Slick. She's cool.
Like she didn't care that her husband was gay. She was like, I'll just lay face down. You can pretend I'm a dude. And she's like, I just want to be queen. I don't give a fuck. I was like, all right.
She's like, yeah. She's like, I don't care. Have sex with my brother. He's cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's up?
Yeah, and of course, Olenna Immortal. Immortal. She's amazing.
I need a shrine to her.
Yeah, she's still every scene.
She's everything I want to be, and then some.
One thing I gotta say, another character I really loved, who also I think is really good looking, is Ser Jorah.
Oh, of course.
Ser Jorah Mormont.
I love that character.
Daddy.
I love the character. I just love the actor.
I did love that moment when in the last season when Jon and Jorah are going off to the wall, and Daenerys is kind of saying goodbye, but Jon and Jorah are kind of giving each other these looks of like, who's this fucker?
Yeah.
Who you?
Just sizing each other up.
Just sizing each other up. I love that. I was like, yeah, girl. Get it, girl.
Well, it's kind of... Yeah, and I think I loved their exchange, though, when they were going on that, hunt, because, Jon has the family sword. Because it was Jorah's father who was on the wall, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that's good. I thought that was really interesting. And I love that Jon was like, well, this is
yours.
Right, yeah. And
he's like, I lost that when I was selling fucking slaves and got booted out. Yeah. I love just the complexity of these characters, and they have this they have lifetimes ahead of them, Mm-hmm. They have lived lives, and not one character is one dimensional. Not even Podrick.
Yeah, Podrick's a good character too.
Podrick's amazing. No, for me though, I gotta say, I think Brienne of Tarth.
Oh yeah.
Because out of all of this muck, she is the purest character in the entire series. She's completely pure. She is. She's like, I mean, you look at Sansa, who was like, oh, everything's like, when she was younger, like, it's all knights and ladies and all stuff, but she's not pure. Like, she'll tattle on people. She's kind of a little shit, you know? She's not, you can say her ideals came from a good place, but she wasn't a good person. Yeah. Brienne of Tarth, none whatsoever. Yeah, technically Sansa sold out her dad. That's why he's dead, was because she told Cersei because she didn't want to leave. She didn't want to leave King's Landing, and she didn't want to leave Joffrey, so she fucking ratted out her dad to Cersei. So, but Brienne of Tarth is so pure.
She's got a code.
She has a code. She knows what she wants and who she is, and she doesn't like sacrifice that. Like she will not like compromise who she is. Yeah. Honor. And it's like, oh my god, I love her. So yeah, she is definitely one of the most pure characters. Sandor Clegane is my number one favorite character.
I didn't like him for the longest
number one favorite character. Abso-fucking-lutely. I adore him.
Like when he got booted off the cliff when he was fighting
Brienne.
I don't know why I keep forgetting that, but yeah, I was like, yeah, motherfucker, go down.
No, like Sandor, I always really enjoyed his character, but when I read, again, book 2, there's so much in the second book.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, oh yeah, he's my favorite. He's my favorite, and his, it's interesting because he kind of had a front row seat to Sansa's like torture. Mm-hmm. At the hands of Joffrey, but he never struck her. Wouldn't do it. Yeah. Like, Joffrey would, like, hit her, and you'd be like, no, you fucking do it. And, like, somebody else would have to do it. But he, there's a moment, which isn't really in the show, they kind of touched on it, where he kind of tried to take Sansa and get her out. And Sansa wouldn't go with him, because she was afraid of him, after the Battle of Blackwater. And so he ends up taking Arya, and it was almost kind of like he was doing something that he couldn't do for Sansa. And in the books, I realized that I totally think the Hound is in love with Sansa. He was in love with her because her view of the world and how right and how everything should be was so innocent, and I think he was so in love with that. Yeah. Because he had nothing like that. The Cleganes are basically just the muscle for the Lannisters, and just what he had to deal with the Hound, or with the Mountain being his older brother. Mm-hmm. He had nothing like that. So I don't know.
I think of Sansa as like being from like the fucking, what was it, like the Mickey's Clubhouse?
Yeah.
But like taking one of those characters and putting them in Oz. Like, just like, just sort of like in her own like world.
What an amazing image.
I know, just like, yeah.
Yeah. No, but yeah, and of course, Tormund, Giantsbane. I fucking love Tormund.
Our favorite ginger.
Our fave. Alright, so, assholes. Let's talk about the assholes.
Well, Ramsay is the first that comes to mind.
Ramsay, Joffrey. Mm-hmm. High Sparrow.
Stannis is still an asshole.
Stannis the Menace. The High Sparrow. Cersei, of course. Mm-hmm. Lysa, Aaron.
Oh my god.
That bitch was fucking crazy.
God.
And we
Cersei,
Cersei,
the number one asshole.
Oh yeah, Cersei. Whew. Goddamn.
Yeah. She is something else.
She is.
Yeah.
She's
just like pure like spite. That's like her only like trait.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. She's just mad at the world, and I just and the only thing that made her human was her kids, and now that they're all gone, it's just she's just. Ugh.
Now that the world is fucked now.
Oh, and I would like to give a shout out to one of the original assholes that, passed early on that, gets forgotten a lot, and that's Viserys Targaryen, Daenerys' older brother.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Those are
the first feel-good death of the series.
Yes.
Yeah. Crowned for the king.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I ever wanted. Yeah, I was glad to see him go.
How about most badass moments, guys?
Most badass moments.
Daenerys sacking, was it Meereen?
Astapor,
yeah.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
When she was, like, speaking in High Valyrian, like, it's my mother tongue, motherfucker. That was awesome. I'm gonna say Olenna's last words.
Yes.
Oh.
What were the last words?
Her last words have just been, like, that whole sequence with her and Jaime and talking about the poison, and she's like, oh, will it hurt? And he's like, no, and she's like, oh good. And she drinks it, and she's like, I didn't want it to, you know. Not like your son.
Yeah, that was
like, ooh.
That was
like,
devastating.
And she like looks at me, she's like, tell Cersei, I want her to know it was me. And I'm like, oh,
yeah, that was straight up
like,
shit.
Yes.
She is. Oh God, I loved everything about Olenna Tyrell.
Yeah.
Ugh.
That was good. It's tough to try to narrow down a badass moment. I think when Arya brings the waif's face to the faceless gods, and she's like, "Peace, bitches."
I don't know. I thought Arya's kill with the guy who killed that kid in her.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when she says what he said to her, it's like, oh, what a pretty sword, you know. And
I realized too is when Arya fucking pulls a Ethan Hunt when she like is pretending to be fucking what's his face there, the fucking non-magic dude from Hogwarts.
Walder Frey.
Thank you. When like, you know, it's like, I'm not gonna waste good wine on a woman, you know, and then because it's really Arya, and then she peels the mask, and when I saw that scene, I kept thinking, man, how great would it be if, like, as soon as she does it, you hear like, dun, 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 dun. But I did like that actor though who plays Walder Frey.
Oh, he was great.
He
was great.
Yeah. I mean,
he's skeevy.
Yeah, I mean,
perfect.
Crotchety.
I mean, he does crotchety well. I mean, he was great as a crotchety dude in Harry Potter. And he was in Hot Fuzz. He was like that dude that nobody could fucking understand what he was saying. He had the World War II mind. Like,
yeah. I know, I will give it to Cersei for badass moments when she fucking blew the Sept of Baelor.
Oh my god.
And just drank.
Like, I'm not going.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to go.
I'm just not going, yeah. And she just drank her wine and just felt the heat. Just like, yes.
I still can't believe, though, how quickly after that, when her son just goes to the window ledge and just, bloop, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
No fanfare.
That whole sequence.
I mean, and it was just so quick. Like, that kid didn't even fucking think about it.
And of course, you know, the birth of the dragons.
Oh yeah, that's pretty badass.
That was crazy. I think everybody was just, because after the death of Ned Stark, everybody was just like, well, what the fuck? What
we need a feel good moment, yeah.
What are we doing? And then with her just standing up out of the ashes with 3 dragons, you're just like, oh, okay. Yeah. It's gonna be this kind of show. All right.
You know who I do like too is the Spider.
Oh, Varys.
Yeah. Because I like that his whole thing is just serving the realm.
Yep.
That's his thing, and I love that moment he has with Daenerys when she's like, well, how do I know that like I can trust you and like you won't like try to
me.
Blah blah. He's like, listen, you start acting like a crazy bitch, then yeah, I will.
Yeah.
So what does he mean by like serving the realm? Like kind of keeping balance?
He wants to make sure
for the people.
Right. He wants to make sure that there's like a good ruler on the throne and not someone who's going to be fucking batshit crazy.
Because he's actually thinking about the people.
Yeah.
Because he was like, I think growing up like as being sold and getting mutilated.
The downtrodden.
Yeah, and like in Essos and coming to, King's Landing, I think he gets it and he wants structure and he wants what's best for the people,
right? And
so serving the realm, I think, is pretty honorable.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like that it's like that. Yeah, that his loyalty is just to the realm and the people, and that justice is served. And
so, real quick before we wrap up, I do want to ask you guys about some of your favorite theories, retouching on some of the ones that you'd heard for this season.
I don't know if I have favorite theories. I've heard some stuff that I hope doesn't happen. Like, I don't like the idea that the White Walker threat gets wrapped up like halfway through this final season. You know, because I think that what the prevailing theory is they're gonna fight the White Walkers, and then once that's all wrapped up, they're going to King's Landing to take out fucking Cersei.
Yeah.
And that's all. I mean, depending on how it's done, I'm okay with it. But again, I've been waiting for this like since the first scene of the first episode. You know, where like I just like because throughout the show they've just been like teasing this threat. You know, very slightly. You know, it felt for a while there like at the end of every season was like, oh, here's a little hint about the White Walkers, and here's a little hint. So it was like I wanted it to be worth the wait.
Yeah.
Least favorite theory is that Bran's the Night King. I think it's just really dumb and kind of just, like, cheapens a lot of stuff. So don't do it. Favorite theory is that at the end, like the monarchy is abolished and a democracy is established.
I like that too. Yes, I hope that happens. Cool. I hope that there is no throne. It gets melted down.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just yeah, I don't know. It gets melted down and becomes something else, like a piece of corporate art.
Well, there are a few little theories that I've been watching a lot of theory videos on YouTube, and I definitely think our listeners should check them out. These YouTubers, Gray Area, Talking Thrones, Alt Shift X, In Deep Geek, and Lucifer Means Lightbringer. They, I think they have some pretty cool ideas, and they do some really in-depth work on digging through the books and the lore and bringing it all to the surface to explain their arguments, and I think it's pretty cool. And some of my favorites from that batch was that Euron Greyjoy is the Valonqar and will be the one to choke and kill Cersei. I thought that was pretty cool. Very different because everybody assumes it's going to be either Tyrion or Jaime, most likely Jaime, but I like the idea of it being Euron Greyjoy.
Yeah.
That Melisandre is Nissa from the Azor Ahai prophecy, that she's going to be the one to sacrifice herself to bring about the flaming sword.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That Jon's going to plunge the sword into her heart because she burns from within, and I think that's a pretty cool theory. Some things I would just like to see. I want to see Nymeria and the Wolf Pack fucking show up and start taking names. That's what I want.
That would be cool.
I'm down.
I want to see them kick names and take ass.
Yeah. You know, with these shows that are so steeped in magic and set in medieval times, I would always just like to see a show where it's like, imagine like Westeros 2019. You know, just like a modern day, just like somebody at a college dorm, like writing a research paper about like the old houses and like, you know what I mean? Like that would be kind of cool. Like
there was a cute theory that the show's gonna end with Sam telling the story. Writing like the Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
You know, that Sam tells a story. I would like Jon and Daenerys to have a kid. I think that'd be kind of cool. I know it's weird because it's like she's his aunt, but whatever, man.
Listen, if my aunt looked like that, ain't nobody gonna tell me what's
Oh my god.
Just fuck it. Don't tell me ignorance is bliss. Don't give a fuck.
Oh man.
Well, you know, but it's like at the same time though, where it's like this show. You know a show's good when it makes you okay with incest.
I mean,
yes,
I mean, like
totally right.
Honestly, if you found out, like, if you were hooking up with someone who looked like Kit Harington and you found you're related, you'd be like, "Look at that six pack. Who gives a shit?"
It's like, you know.
I'm like, if you calling him daddy, who gives a shit?
Who cares? But no, I mean, you're kind of like okay with it. Well, and two, because the Targaryens have intermarried, they've married, you know, for
tried
generations.
And true formula.
They set the tone. It's fine.
You know, how else are they going to talk to dragons? You know, whatever. I'm down. You know, like I'm okay with it. I am all about Jon and Daenerys being together. I love it. I think it's great. I squeed so hard when they when he went to her cabin. I was just like, oh my god, it's happening!
I know, but it was so interesting that scene though where like Tyrion is like outside the door.
I don't know. Yeah,
what do you think that means?
Well, trouble. It's trouble. I mean, come on. Jon already fucked it up when they were at the whole summit, and he was just like, sorry, I already kind of threw in my hand to Daenerys, so...
But you know what, though? Okay, and I get that, but also part of me is like, no, just fucking lying and making promises I know I'm not going to follow through with is kind of what got us here.
Yeah.
You know, and I do kind of like that like, nah, this, I already said this, and that's it. Sorry, you know, because that's the kind of shit that got his dad killed.
Yep.
Or his uncle. Or
everybody.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
That's what gets everybody killed. No, I definitely dug that. But I dig their whole thing. I do. I would love to see, I want to see the Red Priests, like, fucking drop some crazy columns of fire. I want to see, like, dragon fights in the sky. I'm so down. I want to see Arya tear it up. I want to see Brienne tear it up. I want to see Brienne and fucking Jaime together tearing it up. I love those two.
It takes to make a thing go right.
Woo! Yeah, so that's yeah.
Cool.
Anything else anybody wants to add?
I can't think of anything. It's one of those things where I just don't know how it's all gonna go down, and I kind of like that. I like that I don't have like a, you know, I haven't really looked in too deeply into what the themes are, because I don't know how it's gonna go. I want to be surprised. I just hope it's not predictable.
Yeah.
You know, as long as, you know, they're not gonna pull any fucking Ewok shit where a bunch of, you know, cute teddy bears come out and,
unless they're children of the forest.
Well, then that's different. That's different. Though.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, I just don't want it to be, like, cheesy. You know what I mean? But, I mean, Game of Thrones, I have to say, has never felt cliched.
Yeah.
You know, it definitely always kind of... Every time you think it's going left, it's making a hard right.
Yep.
That's all I gotta say.
It's exciting.
Tis true.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, this has been fantastic. Entering a new phase of our podcasting. If you are listening, which I hope you are, please check out our website, graphicmultiverse.com. We have content now. We have 2 articles, so what's up? So definitely check it out. And yeah, you know, we're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Definitely love to hear some feedback. And yeah, enjoy your issues.